Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fit for Purpose podcast. My name is Brandon. This is my co-host, Jacob.
Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's episode, we talk all about calorie deficits, what they are, how to leverage them, and then ways that you can lose body fat optimally when in a calorie deficit.
Yeah, be sure to join us to learn more. And while you're at it, would you follow us on Spotify as well as like and subscribe to our YouTube? Let's go.
Right, so when you do activity, you're moving throughout the day, you're standing up, you're walking to your car, you're thinking, you're processing things. All those things, all the processes in your body take energy and take calories.
There's a lot of people who are like, their metabolism is different than this person's metabolism. And if they were to consume less calories, like it's malnourishing.
Yes.
So there's some other strategies that we can take as far as getting to where we want to be.
Managing your stress is huge if you want to have success in, getting to a healthy body weight and getting lean and losing fat.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about calorie deficits. So how can we give people practical application to see results related to fat loss specific goals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know everyone out there has heard, in order to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Which is a law of thermodynamics. You cannot create or destroy energy. You can only repurpose it, right? So it can just be transformed. So in order for you to lose weight and shed energy or mass from your body, you have to be consuming less than you're burning off.
Correct.
Right. In order, that's the basic math principles of losing weight is calorie deficit, meaning the calories that you're bringing in is less than what your body is using, so that you're transforming the energy that is your body or stored fat or stored glycogen. You're transforming that into energy and moving it out of the system. Basically, you're using it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's, on a general level, what a calorie deficit is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about on previous episodes, this is something where if you have goals around fat loss, the deficit aspect of that depends on the individual. So it's not like, maybe I've had a lot of years of metabolic damage, of neglect related to fitness, and maybe I don't have a whole lot of lean mass on my body. There's some other strategies that we can probably take related to how to get to where you want to be. And I think a lot of times where we get it confused is like, we think it's all one size fits all. And a lot of people preach, like we've talked about that, like so many people preach like it's calories in versus calories out. You're consuming too many calories. It's like, yeah, but there's a lot of people who are like, their metabolism is different than this person's metabolism. And if they were to consume less calories, like it's malnourishing.
Yes.
So there's some other strategies that we can take as far as getting to where we want to be. But ultimately, we wanted to provide some, again, tangible skills, applicable skills related to calorie deficit. So
yeah, how to manage yourself being in a calorie deficit, because there's things that come along with that, right?
Totally.
Cravings, lower energy, and then also, a lot of caveat around how to create a calorie deficit for yourself, and if it's even appropriate for you to create a calorie deficit, right? Like you were just saying, someone may have enough metabolic damage to where their metabolism is so slow that they're burning a very, very small amount of calories as it is. So trying to get them into a deficit further is just going to create more damage and make it really hard for them to be at a healthy body weight long term.
yes.
So, there are a few different ways to calculate your baseline calorie burn, right? So basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories that you burn at rest.
Yeah.
If
it's
you
like
were
how many calories you need to like survive essentially.
Yeah, like if you were like laying in bed all day.
Yeah.
This is how many calories your body would burn. So that's basal metabolic rate. And then your baseline calories is that basal metabolic rate times a certain ratio based on your activity level. Right? So when you do activity, you're moving throughout the day, you're standing up, you're walking to your car, you're thinking, you're processing things. All those things, all the processes in your body take energy and take calories. So your BMR times a certain factor based on your activity level
Yeah.
will give you a rough estimate of your baseline calorie intake.
Yeah.
Right. Now, like you just said, everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't just plug in a generic equation and get someone a perfect calorie deficit, because someone may have a very ramped up metabolism because they have lots of, lean muscle mass and they're at a healthy body weight and they have never, really aggressively cut calories before. Or someone might have a lot of metabolic damage and the number that gets spit out for them based on that equation is too high for them to be actually in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So there's some caveat there with that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so really I think having someone more knowledgeable in that area could probably be helpful to give you some like quality coaching on, hey, what should I do here?
Yeah.
Cause guidance is helpful. Having a blueprint is super helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
But in that, I mean, there's a lot of tools that are super accessible as far as like helping you achieve your results. ChatGPT right now, a phenomenal resource for figuring out what steps you should take as far as your calorie deficit. That one of the things I wanted to hit on, like I've had clients now with chat who are like familiar with it. A lot of people that's out of reach at this point, but like even something as simple as like screenshotting a menu and plugging that menu into chat and saying, hey, I'm in a deficit. Here are my goals. This is what I want to accomplish. What could I eat off of this menu to like create the perfect?
That's really cool.
Dude, so like I said, there's a lot of tools out there that are super accessible. Maybe you don't necessarily need a direct coach, but I think it's important to have at the very baseline a blueprint of how you're trying to accomplish this.
Yes.
Because you can't just throw darts into the ocean and expect to hit the target, or in the dark or whatever.
If the ocean is the target, then you're probably going to hit it.
You're just blindly like tossing. There's just so many things going on with our food today. Like whether you're eating out, especially eating out, because you have zero control. Well, as far as like how they're preparing your food,
the quality of the food, and then the oils that they're using to prepare it.
Exactly.
You don't have a lot of control over that.
Not a lot of control. And then, I mean, things are packed with sugars and processed junk. And like, you may think you're eating healthy. Like we've talked about this, like taking something as simple as like avocado is super calorie dense. You may think, hey, that's a healthy option to get me to where I want to be, but you might be having too much of it. And by having too much of it, that's a couple hundred extra calories that now you're not in a deficit anymore.
Yeah, so, your avocado toast is like 1,000 calorie breakfast. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah. So like, again, having the blueprint, having structure is helpful in achieving what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what do you, when you're working with clients, what is like a general calorie deficit that you start people at? Or give us a little education on like, okay, what's an appropriate amount of calories to be in a deficit that's sustainable long term? What's aggressive? What's a slow pace? What's typical? Yeah,
I think those are like two different things, because like one, we have it depends. So we're going to strategize based on the individual's needs. But if we are in a deficit phase, my encouragement is somewhere between 20 to 25%. 25% I think is a little more aggressive. And I think for most people, having it be less aggressive and just taking a little bit longer and just seeing what happens is one of the better strategies in my opinion. So I say 20 to 25% of your overall total daily energy expenditure. Okay. So you referenced that number, like I would say like TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. So you said basal metabolic rate plus activity level and all of the other things that are going on with your body's processes. So you're taking 20 to 25% off the top of whatever that number is, and that's your deficit.
So say we calculate that my basal metabolic rate plus my activity gives me a total daily expenditure of 2,000 calories. So 25% would be a 500 calorie deficit.
Correct.
20% would be a 400 calorie deficit, somewhere in that range.
Yep. Yeah, because we can equate that when in terms of calories burned to pounds lost. If you were in a 500 calorie deficit every single day, that's a total of 3,500 calories, which equates to about 1 pound of weight loss per week.
And that's 1 pound of body fat.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which ideally
as long as we're structuring the macros appropriately and, all that. Yeah.
Which is ideally where the the weight loss
Mhm.
is coming from, right?
Yes.
And that's another
Yes.
another
That's
topic.
the caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another topic because you could be in a calorie deficit. So say I'm eating 1,500 calories a day.
Mhm.
I'm in my 25% calorie deficit from my total daily expenditure that is an average of 2,000.
Yep.
So I'm eating 1,500 calories a day. I'm going to lose about a pound a week.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because you just said 500 calories, 7 days, 3,500 calories total is, a 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories.
Yes.
Right? So I'm likely to lose about a pound a week at that deficit.
Mhm.
But if my nutrition is off, meaning I'm not getting good micronutrients, my macronutrients balance is off, meaning I'm not balancing proteins, fats, and carbs well, or I'm dealing with other things like inflammation or, high stress or poor sleep, then that weight loss could come from somewhere else, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it could totally look different. Like we say that as the equation, calories in versus calories out.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, there's so many different factors that play into that. You could have 1 week where maybe you are in that deficit and you lose nothing, or a week where maybe the scale goes up, or so it's important to look at the whole picture versus we want the math equation as part of the data to make sure that we're trending, but there's a lot of other things that we need to be thinking about and mindful of. Yeah.
That's the thing is like, that's level one. That's baseline is like, okay, we need to be consuming less calories than we're burning.
Yep.
Right. In order to lose weight.
Totally.
We know that. That's a math equation. There's, laws of physics involved there.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get too materialistic, we get too we get too deep into scientific materialism.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that our bodies are not machines. We're human beings that have an intensely complex system that we're managing, right? There's so much going on that is involved with us being a human being that is walking around and conscious and having, the motor function to like organize walking and balancing and not falling over and have my heart beating without me like knowing about it. Mm-hmm. My body's digesting food and I don't know how it's doing it. I'm not doing it. Right.
Yep.
So there's
emotions,
emotions, like emotions
around food, even.
Emotions with life. If you're chronically stressed, or you're going through like a really intense, grief period in your life, that's going to affect like your stress levels, your hormone levels, how you're burning body fat, how you're using energy in your body. So there's so many layers here.
Yeah.
Right. Humans are not machines that we can just plug a math equation into.
1,000%.
So that's where a skilled coach can come into play, or just being aware of some of these things. And the more that you practice this stuff, the more you can become aware of it. But I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but we were talking about the math equation.
Yeah.
There's things that may, stop you from losing that 1 pound per week.
Correct.
And, we wanted to kind of touch on some of those factors. But I think in general, we should start with some of the more basic stuff. Like, what are some practical ways to get into a calorie deficit? Mm-hmm. How do I go about structuring my macronutrients?
Yep.
How do I go about structuring my day, structuring my meals? What kind of foods should I be focusing on in order to like feel somewhat satiated, but still get to be in a calorie deficit? You want to talk on some of those things a little bit?
I've heard it said, we were kind of touching on this before we jumped in, of like, you have your calories as your math equation, calories in versus calories out. But then, as you noted, we have macronutrients and we have micronutrients. I've heard it said that macronutrients are going to be the way that you look. Micronutrients are going to be the way that you feel. Mm-hmm. And both play a massive role in achieving our overall goal.
Yep.
So really simply put, macros are going to be our basic carbs, fats, proteins, our big blocks that provide us energy. Mm-hmm. And when we're in a deficit, if we want to like the way we look, it's important that we're doing a good job of preserving lean mass and muscle. Mm-hmm. This is the thing that is going to keep us metabolically healthy. It's going to be our driver for burning fat off of our body. Mm-hmm. And it's going to keep us alive and functioning. So we want to preserve it. It's super helpful, super beneficial. Can't preach that enough. So when we're focusing on macros, it's important that protein, which is the macronutrient responsible for retaining, rebuilding muscle mass, that proteins are high.
Yeah. Protein is the building blocks of your structure, of your lean tissue, your muscles, your bones, your ligaments, your tendons.
Exactly.
So maintaining the structural integrity and the mass of your muscle on your body, doing that requires adequate protein, right?
Yeah. I mean, an example of that, we see it regularly now. There's these, medications and tools, semaglutide, Ozempic, that you see people that lose a lot of weight rapidly. They're in a significant calorie deficit where they're not preserving the muscle. And there's a difference in how someone looks when it's done in that fashion versus when it's done strategically.
Yes.
And we've done a good job. Like I said, macronutrients you're going to like the way you look when you prioritize how they're structured. So proteins, we talked about it. It's going to help you keep muscle on your body, continue to fuel the processes of rebuilding, recovering, all that stuff. Carbs are going to be beneficial for your energy stores, your performance, how you feel. And then fats are going to help. I like keeping fats high because there's a lot of metabolic functions with that. It's also going to help your joints feel good, especially when you're in that deficit and your body's experiencing stress. For women especially, like I tend to keep this pretty high because there's a lot of hormone related things that women need more fats than men typically. So you can kind of play with some of those, but the ultimate is that your proteins stay constant. And what I like to encourage is somewhere, depending on your activity level, somewhere between, this is a big range maybe, but 0.8 to like 1.2 grams of protein.
Yeah, that's scientifically validated.
So if you're strength training more, moving more, doing more, obviously you need more protein to recover and rebuild. That's kind of where I like to live too. And it's going to help you feel satiated. Like you're going to feel full throughout the day. And you're going to be able to stay consistent with what you're trying to accomplish. And I feel like I'll toss it to you as far as the micronutrients, kind of giving a little more explanation of some of that, vitamins, minerals, all that good stuff.
I wanted to touch on one thing with the macronutrients. You didn't really give any specific prescription, which, makes sense because you can't generalize too much. Right. But, prioritizing protein, and then, about having a balance of your carbs and fats as far as calories go is pretty average.
I think a balance is important, and it's based on like how you feel. Like I think a lot of people will tend to lean more towards higher fats. I think it's just really easy for people to get calories that way, and maybe it's easier for people to get protein that way because like you're eating a higher fat protein, it's maybe going to taste better. You're going to get more of it. I think that's totally fine, and I think it's go with what works for you. What can you be consistent with? So if that means you're a little bit higher fat, that's okay. And for a lot of people, you could talk all day long about things like insulin resistance and all this stuff. Like I think a lot of people maybe this is a generalization, but like too much carbohydrates at times.
Well, I mean, we know insulin resistance is an issue, is a really prevalent issue.
Exactly. So I think a balance between the two. Have enough carbs, it's going to fuel you, it's going to keep you energized. If you feel like you're lethargic or like you're overly hungry throughout the day, maybe you can increase some of those carbs, and that can be your give and take. But I think I'm not going to give it I think the protein we give it a prescription for. I think the carbs and fats is individual specific because it's based on like body cueing and all those kind of things. But
and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on was, based on your ancestry, your metabolism is going to function differently. And so many of us are like mutts now, like I'm like 50% German, but I've also got, other stuff in there. So, so many of us are like, we're all mixed breeds nowadays, right? now. But if you're, typically if your ancestry developed closer to the poles, to the North or South Pole, where it's colder and the ground freezes in the winter, your ancestors had less access to fresh plant foods all year round.
Interesting.
Right? So a lower carbohydrate intake on average. Whereas if your ancestors evolved closer to the equator, where it's warm year round, constant access to fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, sweet potatoes, things like that. So a higher intake of carbohydrates. So, we're as different on the inside as we are on the outside. We have, the length of your intestine could be, like 30 feet up to like 80 feet. And that the length of that is going to have an influence on how well you can like pull nutrients from carbohydrates or how well you digest protein.
Yeah.
So just being aware of that, like you said, everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
So you may go test your ancestry and find out, okay, I'm a mutt. So now what do? Well, you experiment, right? So you could experiment with, okay, we know we want to kind of prioritize protein. You know, you could be at the lower end of like 0.7 or 0.8 grams per pound, or you could be at the higher end of like one gram per pound. But then you want to experiment with your ratio of kind of fats to carbohydrates and see when you genuinely feel the best.
Yeah.
And feel the most kind of relaxed and settled in your body, when you're sleeping the best, and you notice it's easier to get into a deep sleep and you're not waking up through the night, or you're not waking up hungry.
Yep.
So, you know, experimenting with kind of the balance of the carbohydrates and proteins for your metabolism is going to have a big impact on how you feel and how you function over time.
Absolutely.
Because you can throw like we were just talking about metabolic damage. If I am someone who does better as like a protein or a polar type, so my ancestry developed closer to the poles, meaning I want to have a higher ratio of proteins and fats to carbohydrates, my body does best with that. If I have that ancestry, but I overconsume carbohydrates, then it's going to like ramp up my nervous system. It's going to throw me into a sympathetic state. I'm going to have a hard time sleeping at night. I might develop insulin resistance over time. Whereas if you are an equatorial type, or your ancestry is closer to the equator and your body does better with a little bit more carbohydrates, but you try to go on like a ketogenic diet or a low carb diet, then that could cause all sorts of other problems. Like you may not be able to digest the amount of protein, because if you don't have the enzymes to digest what you're eating, so say you're eating, 200 grams of protein a day from red meat, you may not be able to digest that.
Yeah, your body's going to fight you a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And then you start getting inflammation, you start getting constipation, you start having, gut motility issues, you start getting like leaky gut because there's, things aren't flowing there. You start getting constipated. So there's ways that you can damage your metabolism by not eating correctly for you. So just to elaborate a little bit like what you said, like
your diet should work for you, not against you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and you have to, like you said, experiment. Like that's going to take a couple weeks, maybe a little bit longer to truly notice those symptoms. Like it's not something you could do like in a day and be like, oh, that didn't work. Because I think that's what we do is like we flip flop like so quickly, because it's like, so-and-so had this great experiment with keto. They lost 30 pounds. I'm going to try that. And we don't give it the like conscious effort to actually give it a real experimental phase. Did that work with me? Let me check in. If it didn't, let me adjust. If it did, let me keep going, that kind of stuff.
Or just because it works for a month doesn't mean it's going to work forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just, things to be mindful of. It's important to experiment and pay attention.
Yes.
That's really what all of this is about.
Yeah.
Is like, pay attention, eat, be mindful of what you're eating, and then pay attention to what it's doing to you.
Definitely.
Over time, and then adjust as needed. Right? Like that's the simplest formula right there.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yes.
And it takes time to develop the relationship with your body and start to understand, okay, what do the symptoms mean? Because we might get like a little bit of gastrointestinal discomfort, or we might feel a little bit of brain fog, or we might feel our energy dip, or we might have like itchy skin, or we might have dandruff. Like these are little signals from the body, and it takes time to kind of start to decipher them.
Yes.
And figure out, okay, what really does work for me? What is my body like?
Yeah. Yeah. And that brings me to one of my points related to calorie deficits is you cannot go purely based on the scale, because the scale will lie to you. It will tell you stuff that maybe is untrue. Maybe you had a day of eating a little bit higher inflammatory foods, or you got a little bit worse sleep than the night before, or you trained really hard, or like you're going to have adjustments along the way. So not being so quick to just jump the gun, make changes, have that freak out of, oh, this isn't working. Stay the course. Like you said, this is an experiment and it's going to take time. Like usually you put someone in even a 500 calorie deficit, like it probably takes about 2 weeks, I would say on average, to even see that first little change, because it's that body adjusting. You set a thermostat in a room, it takes time for that to kick on.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time for that to cool the room. And then it creates that baseline, or like with our bodies, that homeostasis, to where your body recognizes, okay, you want me to change? Because that's what our bodies are designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're designed as a thermostat to keep us like right here all the time.
Yes.
You have to send it a different signal in order to elicit change.
Yes.
And that takes time.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a week.
Yeah.
Maybe not happen in a month. Like, it takes time.
Yes.
I've been in a calorie deficit currently for on my MyFitnessPal, got my streak,
Nice.
my 44 days.
Wow. Nice.
And yeah, like I've lost maybe 2 pounds in total. I've changed my body composition. So
Yeah.
that's something, we can dive into how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, and that can be frustrating. I have an in-body at home because it's something I use for my clients, so I can see like a little more accurate data. Is it that accurate? We don't know. But and you get on the thing and you're like, wait, I was right here. Why did I just gain weight? It's like, just stay the course. Like,
Yeah.
So I think there's some other markers in that that are just better. Like the scale is helpful for some data, and then there's other markers we can pay more attention to.
Yeah.
That can help us stay a little more sane in the process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I mean, you could have a bad night's sleep and your cortisol could be high because of that. And then you could retain some water.
Mm-hmm.
You drink a bottle of water, you gain a pound.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
it's
And
things to be mindful
a scale is going to read that fluid distribution differently. Like I have
like the in-body,
like I have a scanner.
It's telling you
and if
your
you
body
have more
fat.
fluid in your system, or like I did a refeed day, which we can kind of explain what that is, but I ate more carbs, so then it's pulling glucose to my muscles, where then the scanner is reading that as more fluid in general. So it thinks that I gain more body fat, which I feel leaner. My muscles feel pumped up.
Yeah.
That's probably not true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or if you have like a meal in your stomach, you could have a pound. I mean, you easily could have anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds of shit in your intestines, like in your intestines, right? So say you're like constipated for like a day or a day and a half, or like things aren't flowing, and then you get on the scale, you're like, oh, I'm up a pound.
Yep.
It's like, well, you're just full of shit.
Nice. I like how you did that.
Did it. So there's so many factors with the scale, but it's just about being consistent over time.
Yes.
Right. And trusting the process.
Over time. I think the best thing you could do is just have record. You don't maybe have to weigh in every single day while you're doing this, but again, use the scale as a data point so that you have it, you have some record of it, but maybe you go every couple days, and if you see changes in a negative direction, don't get bent out of shape over it.
Yeah.
Look at the broader picture. Maybe you can see that scale trending in a positive way over the course of 4 weeks versus 1 week. And that's more what we want to see.
Yeah.
Like that you have steady trajectory from here to here. Maybe there's a couple curves along the way, but you got where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me personally, if I'm in a calorie deficit, or I'm on a journey of like losing a little bit of weight or getting leaner, I like to step on the scale every day at the same time.
Yep.
But I don't do like an in-body scan to check in on my body fat percentage or my muscle mass. I only do that every like 30 days.
Gotcha. Just weight.
Yeah. So I'll step on the scale and just get my weight, and I can see, and like maybe one day I'm up half a pound.
Yep.
But what you're seeing over time is, ideally, as you're seeing over time, over a week or 2 weeks, you're seeing new lows. Maybe every 5 days or every 8 days, you're seeing like a new low. Like, oh, I'm a half a pound lower. Like that's a new low.
Yes.
And you want to see that trending in the right direction over time. And then, because the scan where you're measuring your body fat and your muscle mass and things like that, that can put you in your head a little bit. So I like to do that every 30 days.
Yeah.
Once a month seems to be plenty for that. But yeah, so if you're tracking and you're on a goal of losing weight and you're trying to be in a calorie deficit, you don't need to get on the scale every day, but I would recommend getting on the scale regularly so that you can see what's happening. Yeah. Again, it's a tool, it's a data point, and be patient, be consistent. But also, if you get to a month in and you haven't lost any weight, then it's probably time to evaluate what you're doing.
Yes.
So take that data point, take that data as a reflection of what you're doing, and make some adjustments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Related to being in a deficit, I think a lot of times we can get into the mindset where I've got to do more. I want to achieve this goal. If it's I want to lose 20 pounds, like we feel like we've got to do more. When it comes to training, what would you say is like the protocol related to if I'm at a deficit, how do I structure and think about my work capacity and things like that?
Well, there's a couple ways to look at this. If your goal is to maintain as much muscle mass as possible while in a calorie deficit, then what I would recommend is training with intensity, meaning training heavy, not training with intensity like you're doing like high intensity, fast cardiovascular, HIIT workouts.
Yeah.
Intensity meaning intensity relating to the training variable of percentage of 1 rep max. So training with heavy weights and even doing some lower rep sets is going to force your body to continue to need
Energy.
the muscle mass.
Yeah.
So if you get into a calorie deficit and you just start doing a bunch of cardio and a bunch of volume and you're not lifting heavy, then your body, the signal that you're sending your body is that you no longer need the amount of muscle mass that you have. So it will quickly expend that muscle mass because muscle mass is very expensive.
Yeah.
Calorie wise,
easy to get rid of.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of calories to maintain muscle mass. It's very expensive tissue.
Yes.
Right? So if you are not sending the signal to your body that I absolutely need this, then it will start to back off on your muscle mass. It'll start to pull your muscle mass because you're in a calorie deficit. Your body's saying, okay, we have less nutrients, we have less resources coming in.
Yep.
We need to become more efficient.
Yeah.
So then it's going to start stripping muscle mass along with fat, but it'll downregulate your muscle mass because it's expensive to keep around. So in a calorie deficit, you're trying to keep your protein fairly high. And then you need to prioritize like doing hard, heavy sets so that you're sending the signal to your body that I still need this muscle mass.
Yeah. Do you feel, so yeah, what I hear you saying is like strength training.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what
so I could have just said
No. That's, I'm just trying to simplify like that's it.
Yeah.
I think it's like, don't change anything about your training style just because you're trying to lose body fat. Like I think a lot of us get into that cycle. So it's like train hard, train effectively, but then also rest.
Yes.
Trust the process. And that's the thing too about like your total daily energy expenditure. When that gets calculated, it's based on your
current
activity level. So if you're going to like increase the activity level, well, then you should increase your calories if you want to think about it that way. So
yes,
it's like just trust the process. Like these are structured the way they are for a reason so that you can experience changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, train freaking hard, lift heavy weights, do the thing. And like, where do you put like cardio into that?
Well, cardio is like, the term cardio it's like an umbrella term for so many different things.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a cardiovascularly challenging, HIIT workout that's like high intensity intervals where you're doing sprints and then resting and then doing sprints and then resting and you're spiking your heart rate and then you're recovering. And then there's also like long, low level zone 2 cardio.
Yeah.
Even like a long walk is quote unquote of cardiovascular aerobic exercise. So yeah, basically, again, if the goal is to burn fat, so that if the reason that you're in a calorie deficit is because you want to burn body fat, then I would recommend doing more low-level, steady-state exercise that's like chill enough for you to not be burning a lot of carbohydrates.
Yes.
So once you get to a certain intensity might not be the right word. Once you get to a certain heart rate with your workout, with your exercise, then your body is forced to kind of start using carbohydrates as energy, right? So if I go to a fitness class and we're doing like a 45-minute workout and I'm doing, kettlebell swings and burpees and thrusters and I'm like destroying myself with this super aggressive, maybe CrossFit or CrossFit style workout or just something that's like really brutal.
Yep.
What I'm doing is I'm actually burning stored carbohydrate first. And then if it goes on long enough and the cortisol gets high enough, I'm actually going to start shredding muscle tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's obviously the opposite of
what you're trying to accomplish.
of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, and then along with that, you're not, that kind of workout doesn't send the signal to your body that you need muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
It's sending the signal to your body that like, I need to be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So the excess cortisol from the super aggressive workout, the structure of the workout, meaning you're burning carbohydrates instead of fat, that's not going to be the best strategy for burning fat.
Yeah.
I would recommend long walks, or if what you see bodybuilders do, right? I mean, if you want to get lean, like take notes from bodybuilders because they step on stage.
They have figured it out.
Yeah, they step on stage at 3% body fat.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously a ton of muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they, in the morning, do a fasted cardio session that's long, 30, 60 minutes, and they're on a Stairmaster going slow.
Yeah.
Or they're like going like chill on an elliptical, or they're like walking on a slight incline. And they're doing that fasted so that their body is, there's not a lot of carbohydrate or, stored energy from the meal that they just ate.
Mm-hmm.
There's minimal of that, so their body's kind of forced to use fat.
Yeah.
But they're also staying at that low level of intensity so that they can rely on fat. It's an aerobic exercise.
Yeah, it's oxidizing those fat cells.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like you said, there's not enough carbs there, so your body's like, I need something. I need,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna start pulling fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly same protocol. We see pretty eye to eye and all that. And I even encourage a lot of my clients, like a weighted vest is a really great way to like enhance that mood. It's still low stress, but you're going to increase the intensity just subtly.
Yes.
When you're doing that. I love walking with a weighted vest. Yeah, it's incredible. Go for a walk. Do that in tandem with your strength training sessions. Again, don't feel like you got to do too much to elicit change.
Yeah.
And just trust the process in that with your movement. The other thing, like why walking is so good is it's low stress activity.
Yes.
And when we're in a calorie deficit, like that is stressful to the body. So limiting the amount of stress signal that you're sending to your body is going to help you continue to keep that snowball effect happening.
Absolutely.
So then the other side of that is like we talk about stress management a lot on our podcast here. Show, if we say show,
it's a cool podcast show, radio thing.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
It's a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So like stress management is massive. So we've kind of elaborated on this a little bit in previous episodes, but I think it's important to maybe discuss what are some protos related to minimizing stress.
Oh yeah. I love this topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to start off by saying that I want to have a little hormonal conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Cortisol.
The birds and the bees.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Where do babies come from?
Oh
man.
I haven't learned that one yet. It's a mystery.
Wow. I'll call Steve.
So cortisol is, one of our key hormones, one of the master hormones in our body. And cortisol, the proper function of cortisol is that it rises naturally in the morning to get us out of sleep and get us going for the day, right? And then it naturally kind of falls throughout the day as melatonin rises in the evening to signal sleep. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So cortisol, when unchecked, is a stress hormone. It's in the correct levels, it's healthy, it gets us up in the morning, it gets us going, and then it tapers off in a healthy fashion, right? But when we are overstressed, whether it's lack of sleep or too much exercise, or someone pisses you off at work, or you have financial issues and you're like wondering how you're going to pay your bills, or you're in a fight with your spouse, any of those things are stressful to the body, right?
Yep.
And they're different styles of stress, but your body summates stress from different experiences. So the body doesn't see the stress from your relationship as different from stress from your workout or stress from you being in a calorie deficit. Your body just knows that you're stressed.
Yep.
So when cortisol spikes and it stays high or stays elevated, the signal that it's sending to your body is that we need to mobilize energy now. So that means carbohydrates flood the bloodstream, so your blood sugar goes up. It also means shredding tissue if needed to release energy as quickly as possible. Oxidizing fat is not the fastest and most readily available form of energy. So when cortisol goes up, lipolysis, or the process of burning fat or oxidizing fat for energy, goes down. So we're talking about stress management because we're talking about how to be in a calorie deficit successfully so we can lose body fat in a healthy way and not lose weight in an unhealthy way, meaning, losing muscle mass or, like losing bone density, losing, strength in our ligaments and tendons. We don't want that. We want just some of the body fat to shed off, right? So managing your stress is huge if you want to have success in, getting to a healthy body weight and getting lean and losing fat. So I guess practically some of the best ways to manage your stress is to be aware, number one, of what are your biggest sources of stress. So, and you have to look at your life 360.
Totally.
Right. But that's a deeper conversation of like, managing relationships, managing your finances.
We could go down a rabbit hole in that one.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'll say here is sleep, getting enough sleep and getting into a deep sleep is so huge, especially if you want to get lean. And sleeping in the proper hours for your hormones, because your hormones are on a circadian rhythm with the sun. And going to bed at 1 a.m. and getting up at 9, even though you got 8 hours of sleep, is not as good as going to bed at 9 p.m. and getting up at 5. So getting enough sleep and sleeping on time, huge. I'm going to say nose breathing and practicing nose breathing mindfully throughout your day is a huge one.
Breathing is interesting, and I feel like I catch myself often, and it's heightened stress moments and things like that, where I'm like holding my breath. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like that, or you're like bracing as you're breathing.
Yeah, it's like you're bracing for something.
Really shallow breaths. And it takes connecting with yourself. You talk about like being inside of your body a little bit, of like taking deep breaths, filling your lungs with air. Like it gives you that like unwinding, okay, I'm present, we're good. Very important. Yeah.
And so this is a conversation about the nervous system, but so there's two branches of your autonomic nervous system. You got your fight or flight and you got your rest or digest, right? As like a super simple layout. And I'm sure many people have heard of that. There are things that trigger your fight or flight, and there are things that trigger your rest and digest. Nose breathing into your belly automatically triggers your rest and digest nervous system to upregulate. Breathing through your nose, there's the sympathetic is your fight or flight, and the parasympathetic is your rest and digest. You have parasympathetic nerve endings in your nose that get stimulated when you breathe through your nose. So it stimulates the calm nervous system. So breathing into your belly through your nose and practicing that throughout your day, being mindful of how you're breathing throughout your day, can have a huge impact on your body's overall perceived level of stress.
If you want to lose body fat, breathe through your nose.
Yeah, honestly.
That's great.
Which is crazy.
That's a good little tip.
Yeah. So sleeping well, breathing well, and I say breathing because it's your body's number one priority. You can't go more than minutes without breathing. So before even food and exercise, those things are huge, and that's what we're talking about. But like breathing well is hugely important. Eating. The next one I'm gonna say is stimulants. Too many of us rely on stimulants to get us through the day.
Absolutely.
And it's because we're not sleeping. And then because we're not sleeping, we're taking stimulants, and because we're taking stimulants, we're not sleeping. And then it's a vicious cycle.
And we're not eating well. I think we kind of don't recognize how much stimulants play into your cravings, even suppressing appetite. Because you talk about like even for some people, like a calorie deficit on paper, what their calorie deficit is still hard for them to achieve as far as calorie intake. And it could be because they're numbing themselves all morning long with stimulants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're pounding caffeine, then it's going to suppress your appetite and it's going to jack your heart rate up.
Yep.
It's going to dehydrate you, and that's going to be stressful to the nervous system. That feeling that you get when you're like hyped up on caffeine, that's
it.
That's your fight or flight nervous system ramping up. So not doing too many stimulants, not doing them in the afternoon, and then avoiding sugar, which is also a stimulant, right? So that's a form of carbohydrate, but the carbohydrates that are too fast acting, like processed sugar, ramp up the body intensely. You talk about like sugar as an example. Sugar changes the pH of your body, of your blood, so that you have to, then the next thing you know, your heart rate is elevated and your breathing is elevated because your body's trying to regulate itself.
Yeah.
So avoiding stimulants. I'm going to throw it to you. Do you have any other stress management ones? I got sleep, nose breathing, and avoiding stimulants.
I think stimulants, you could bundle in a lot of stuff like, is that your phone? Is that your TV? Is that keeping your brain
mental
occupied?
Stimulation.
Yeah.
Through light.
Yeah.
Blue light.
And, there's things we got to get done. Like for me with my job, like a lot of what I do is social media, or it's connecting with clients on a computer. Like I'm looking at a screen, but it's having that like wind down maybe in the evening. And that could be a way that you de-stress and focus on your breathing and change the lighting and mood in your home and set an alarm, to get to bed. I think it all kind of like intermingles. So,
absolutely.
In this day and age, are you going to avoid looking at your phone? Probably not, but you could minimize your exposure to some of that stuff. That was kind of one of the few things that came to mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's huge. Is like, that would rings a bell for me there, is like looking at your phone.
Yeah.
After sunset, it's like it's dark out and you're like preparing for bed and your phone is just right here in front of your face and you're scrolling and it's just flooding you with not only blue light, which stimulates your brain to think that it's daytime, so that it actually suppresses melatonin, which is your sleep hormone.
I just read that this week.
Yeah, so your brain's like, oh, it's morning, I'm up. Right, so that upregulates your
keep you on.
Yeah, upregulates your cortisol.
That's why you can scroll, and before you know it, it's like, oh, it's 11 p.m. and I'm not tired yet. What the heck? Like,
you're like, oh, I just have a hard time sleeping. It's like, well,
yeah,
maybe look at what you're doing. But not only the blue light, but you're scrolling Instagram, and we don't realize how much information is having to be processed. You scroll and you look at a post, you watch it for 5 seconds, and you see someone in Japan fall down a flight of stairs, and then you scroll and then the next one's like some dude in Australia surfing, and it's like your brain's like, what is going on? Like where are we? What's happening? Your subconscious mind has to process so much information that we're not even aware of. Yeah. And so that is extremely stimulating, right? So that's another form of quote unquote stress to the body. So
totally.
And that's something that's going to feed into your sleep too. So on a practical level, sleeping well, doing things like avoiding your phone at night so that you can sleep well, avoiding stimulants in the afternoon so that you can sleep well, and then being mindful of just how you're breathing, because how you're breathing is so connected to how you are feeling in the moment, right? And how you're kind of like moving throughout your day. Yeah. If you're moving throughout your day and you're nose breathing into your belly, like you're calm and you are showing up for your day, and like you're navigating and moving through it with clarity and skill. Whereas like if you're like shallow mouth breathing into your chest and neck, like you're reacting to your day all day long. Yeah. Your
body's resisting what you're asking of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And all those things play into your how your calorie deficit feels, and also just like what kind of weight you're going to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we've hit movement, we've hit basics of nutrition. Yeah. We've hit minimizing stress. And then I think like what's important, I noted this earlier, is like, we talked about the scale, use it as a data point. There's some other things that we can put our focus and attention on when it comes to this phase of calorie deficit, however long it may be, that can help encourage us and give us momentum related to how we're feeling. Are we moving in the right direction? That sort of thing. Some of the things I like to coach my clients in are like, how are your clothes fitting? Do you feel leaner? How's your energy level throughout the day? We talked about how you're sleeping. Like, these to me are such better markers.
Oh yeah.
One of them is like, do you feel hungry throughout the day? And not in a, I'm starving, I'm ravished, I'm going to claw the freaking pantry if I don't put food in my body. But in a, I'm subtly like, I notice, like, I ate my meal, I went through that, I used it, I digested it, I'm ready for the next thing. Like, you're noticing the hunger cues. So include that in the bundle. Like, those are such better markers for like your trending success.
Yeah.
And then you partner what the data of the scale is showing you, and you can make little adjustments as you go. But I would encourage anybody who's in this calorie deficit, like, focus on those things.
Yes.
That is going to be the thing that gets you through it, because again, there's going to be moments where you're frustrated. There's going to be moments where you're hungry. There's going to be moments where you're grumpy and tired and you're getting into it with your spouse or whatever it may be. So hang on to those moments, and those will be like better record to reflect what's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. One other thing I'll throw in there is just making sure that you're drinking enough high quality water.
Yes.
Especially as you're, if you're dealing with a little bit of hunger, putting down some high quality water can like re-energize you, kind of quiet the hunger a little bit. And it's also just a powerful solvent. It's going to help. It's going to help because as you're in a deficit and you're losing weight, your body is shedding, right? And most of it's going to be body fat, but there's other things that your liver is going to have to process in order to move out of your body, right? So as you shed body fat, you are liberating whatever is stored in that body fat, and that could be some toxins that your body was storing there. So, this goes into a little bit of a deeper conversation, and we don't have to go too deep into this, but a lot of the chemicals and compounds that are challenging to our bodies that are in our environment that are not natural to our bodies are fat soluble, specifically stuff that is sprayed on commercial farms. Those pesticides, herbicides, those things are fat soluble so that they don't get washed off by the rain. And when we consume those foods, then those fat soluble toxins can be stored in our body fat. And when you go to lose that body fat, your body has to liberate those and then deal with them, right? So just making sure that you're drinking plenty of high quality water can really support your body in flushing those things out.
That's good.
It's also going to help again with the hunger, and it's just going to keep you hydrated, which is super important for your health anyways.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to touch on is timing of meals. Because you're in a deficit, you're going to have moments of hunger. If you're tracking your food at all, like I've experienced this a lot in the last few months of like, it's 5:30, 6 p.m. and you're like, that's it. I'm out of my budget for the day. Right.
Yep.
And, so it's important that you're spacing your meals out throughout the day so that you're constantly giving your body that little bit of hit of energy so that, again, you're not scratching at the fridge, you're not clawing at the pantry and ready to just kill everything you see. Like you want to give yourself energy consistently, consume, process, digest, experience your cueing, look for the next meal, and so on, and kind of space that out appropriately throughout the day. Start early too. Like, this is my encouragement, that way you can kind of kickstart the metabolism.
Yep.
And then we can talk about like, again, this goes back to like structuring macros, but like your proteins and your fats are going to be the most satiating, or that feeling of being full. So if you find that, you're always hungry and you're starving, like, have more protein. Yeah. Eat more protein. It's going to sit in your belly longer. It's going to digest slower. And in that digestion process, you're now burning more neat energy. You're burning more calories throughout your day at rest, just because it takes a little bit more for your body to process that. So a little bit more proteins, a little bit more fats. with your carbohydrates, you're maybe selecting carbs that are more complex, a little bit more higher in fiber that are going to digest again slower.
Yes.
So it's in high volume foods too. I'm giving a lot of things here, but high volume foods like fruits, berries, like you could consume like watermelon. I've been on a watermelon kick.
Yeah.
You can consume fruits in large quantities, even though, it's sugar, but it's good micronutrients.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Fruits,
so good for you. You can eat a lot of fruit and get by it and feel full, get good nutrients, move on. So one of the things we talked about previously is protein and produce. Like if every meal you had protein and produce on your plate, you eat a good amount of food, move on, boom, eat the next thing, move on, boom. So
that's a crazy concept.
It's crazy, right?
Wait, those foods like, that just like happen in nature?
What? That's nuts. Yeah, like honestly, like one of the things I wanted to touch on is like, I think a lot of times we're seeking like shakes and bars when it comes to protein intake.
Yeah, no.
Regardless of like the quality of the food, it's not filling.
Yeah.
Like when I'm on a deficit and, there's times like today I had a protein shake. I'm trying to refrain from supplements as I'm going to use them to fill the gaps. Like for someone like myself and my current goal, like we're eating over 200 grams of protein. Let's be honest. If you're going to consume that in meat, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So they're helpful to fill the gaps. But if you're only looking to those kind of things for your protein intake, like you're going to crush 400 calories of liquid form supplements in moments.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be starving. Right?
It's not going to feel very good.
Yeah. The more like whole foods and food that's actually going to take a good bit of time for your body to process and digest, the better off you're going to be. Because again, it's going to help you feel satiated throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Love it, man.
Cool, man.
Some great practical tips.
Yeah, I kind of went on a little tangent as we ended there, but
no, I love it. That's a great tip to throw in. Just like food, if you're getting hungry and you're in a deficit, foods that'll allow you to eat more volume but stay in your calorie range, like protein and like fibrous vegetables or fruits. Not calorie dense, but it feels like a lot more food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Sweet, man.
Let's go.
All right. Peace.